I'm sure a lot of you have heard about the murder of George Floyd. He was a black man simply trying to spend $20 at a deli. The clerk suspected that the $20 was forged, and this clerk called the police. Then he was detained to the ground with his arms behind his back, and his murderer took his knee and pressed it against his neck, and he could not breathe for 7 minutes. He was pleading, screaming, "I can't breathe," but unfortunately he was killed. And this was rightfully a tip of the iceberg moment for the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm so extremely glad that this is being talked about, and that more and more people are recognizing that this institution in which we place our trust is abusing their power more and more frequently, because they're given this hero status and they know that there's probably not going to be any consequences to their actions, because police brutality has been rampant in these past years and there have certainly not been rightful consequences. This institution feels empowered enough to target an entire race, and black people are having the color of their skin literally be weaponized, something that they cannot control. So I encourage all of you to sign the petitions, to donate to funds if you can, and also to go out and protest if it's possible. And it is so extremely important that if you are white or a non-black person of color such as myself, that you recognize your privilege. You are never going to be targeted by the police because of your race if you are not black. And if you think this doesn't pertain to you, you are extremely privileged and do not recognize your privilege. It is so imperative that we stand beside the black community and truly show that we are allies. The first step in doing that is just educating those around you, spreading social media awareness to educate your followers, and even calling out racism among family and friends, like telling those around you to not say the N-word if they aren't black. Or even on a smaller note, recognizing what subtle racism is. If you're a white person and you get a tan and you compare your arm to a black person, that is subtle racism. And it's this subtle racism that contributes to the problem that's happening now and will continue into future generations to your kids. Small things like that will just breed a new generation of racist people. So please, I encourage you to do your part and recognize the gravity of this situation. You have no excuse for not signing the petitions, for not educating yourself. So with all this being said, I will have linked below a ton of resources in the description, links where you can sign petitions and donate. Let's get into the video.
Hey guys, it's Lauren, and today's video is going to be all about my favorite overlays. So overlays are basically just backgrounds and effects to embellish your videos and make them look pretty. There are many different types of overlays, and we're going to start out with a background overlay. This is where there's an overlay and some movement in the background of your photo and video, while the focal point, which is usually a person, is masked and it's in the foreground. Before we begin, I want to make sure you guys are on quarter resolution, so if you're on full, just go down to quarter to allow for a quicker playback time. So primarily, if you have Twixtor applied to your clip, which is slow motion, you must pre-compose your clip. To do this, just right-click, click on pre-compose, and make sure you are clicked on this circle and this box. If you do not have Twixtor on your clip, then you don't have to worry about this. So now you're going to click on your clip and hold down Command-D on your keyboard to duplicate the clip. This top layer is going to be our mask. So head on over to your pen tool, and we are just going to mask the person. This mask does not have to be very intricate, nor does it have to have many points. We just need a general outline of what we want to be our foreground. Then just connect your last point to your first point. Now caret down on this masked clip and go to masks, go to mask 1, and change your mask feather to anything between 20 and 40. Now in the description, I've provided a ton of overlays for you guys. I provided them in a mega link so you can download them right from the link. However, I've also given credit to the rightful YouTube owners of each overlay. So just drag the overlay into the left side of your screen, which is where your media should be.
If your screen doesn't look like mine, you're probably still clicked on Effects Control, so just switch on over from Effects Controls to Project.
Now drag it onto the timeline right in between your two clips. So the mask should be on top and the background should be on the bottom. Now hit S on your keyboard and increase the scale of your overlay so that it fits the dimensions of the composition. Now I'm just going to drag it to the left to see where I want it to start and where I'm going to cut it. So right about here is good, so I'm going to hit Shift Command D on both sides of my overlay so it fits the length of the clip. Just hit Delete on your keyboard to delete the excess. Now to get rid of the black background on the overlay, you want to go up to Effect, Channel, and go down to Shift Channels. Then change Alpha to Lightness. And as you can see, now it is just the flowers. And our last step, we want to make this all one big clip. So you're going to highlight all of your 3 clips, right-click, and pre-compose them. And now they all move together. If you want to change out the background, all you have to do is double-click on your pre-composed layer to go into it, delete your existing overlay, drag in a new one. I'm going to add a hearts background. Again, drag it between your 2 clips.
And here, just repeat the exact same steps of increasing your scale and getting rid of the black background.
Again, the links to all of my favorite overlays are in the description. This includes the cherry blossoms, hearts, cross signs, stars, flowers, diamonds, money, and bubbles, which is kind of weird, but I kind of like how it looks. So the next type of overlay is also a background overlay, but we're gonna animate this one. This is where we have hearts popping out from behind the person. So we actually want to keep the same layout that we had for the last overlay, where we have the masked clip on top.
I actually increased my mask feather to 100 for a smoother, more blurred finish, so you should do that as well.
And I'm going to drag 2 heart PNGs into my project. Again, these will be provided in the description. Now I'm going to drag both of them under the masked clip and drag them up to the current time indicator. Make sure you apply motion blur to both of these clips. So as you can see right now, they're behind the mask, so I'm just gonna drag them to the left to see how much I need to increase the scale. I'm gonna go down to transform, so I'm going to increase the scale a little bit and put it right here. Same thing with the other one, we're going to drag it out from behind him, go down to transform, and adjust the scale and position. So right here are my ending points. Now we are going to animate the hearts. I'm gonna start with this left side heart. So you're gonna go down to transform, and we are only gonna keyframe the position because we don't really have to adjust the scale. So I'm going to drag my current time indicator towards the end of the clip, and I'm going to position the keyframe right here. So just click on the little clock next to position. Now drag your current time indicator back to the beginning of the clip, add another position keyframe, and drag it so it's behind the person. As you can see, it disappears right behind the mask. So our path is basically going from here to here. Now we're gonna highlight our keyframes, right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease. Now right click on where it says position and click on separate dimensions. Now we have 2 different sets of keyframes. So for your X position, you're gonna click on one of the keyframes and go to your graph editor. And if your graph doesn't look like mine, you may be on speed graph. So just click here, and instead of being on edit speed graph, click on edit value graph. Your graph may look a little bit more compressed than mine, but if it has the same general shape, then you're fine. Just follow my graph. Now click on one of the Y position keyframes, go to graph editor, and again, follow my graph. I'm just going to move my keyframes a little bit closer to each other so it goes a little bit faster. And there you go. I'm going to do the same exact thing for the second heart, but I'm just going to speed it up because it's the exact same steps. And to make this look even better, you can add a drop shadow to both of your hearts. So in effects and presets, just look up drop shadow, drag it into one of the clips, and my values are 15 for the distance and 30 for the softness. Then just click on where it says drop shadow right here and hold down Command C to copy it, and then click on your other clip and then just hit Command V to paste it into your other clip.
Lastly, just pre-compose all the clips together.
Now we're gonna do this really cute paper tear overlay. For these transitions, you are going to need 2 clips and you want one on top of the other.
So I'm only going to do 2 examples of this transition, but everything I do for these 2 examples can be applied to any other type of paper tear transition. They have the same exact basic fundamental steps. So the first one we're gonna do is this open center paper tear, which is the first one linked in the description under paper tears. First, please go to the description and download that video.
I'm going to drag the video right into my timeline so that it's on top of both of my clips. I'm gonna hit S on my keyboard and increase the scale so it fits the dimensions of the composition. So we wanna drag the beginning of the overlay to where your second clip starts, so I'm just going to drag that to the right. So as you can see at the end of the clip, it's still not open all the way. So we're going to do something called time remapping. I'm gonna right click on my overlay, go to time, and click on enable time remapping. And this should show up. So my first time keyframe is right here. I'm going to drag my current time indicator to the very end of the clip. I'm going to add another keyframe, and I'm going to increase this time value to where I want my overlay to end. I want it to end right here when the paper has completely teared forward. Then I'm going to crop my overlay by hitting Shift Command D on my keyboard to cut and clicking delete on my keyboard to delete the excess. Now you should have something like this. So since this is a green screen, we need to do green screen masking. We can do this by applying an effect called key light. In your effects and presets, look up key light. This should show up right under keying. Drag this effect into your overlay. So first we need to mask the yellow part inside the middle. So I'm just gonna drag my current time indicator forward a little bit so we can see the yellow a little bit more. Now click on this little eyedrop icon and click anywhere on your composition where you see yellow. So I'm just going to click right here. And as you can see, the yellow is gone. Now we have to pre-compose this overlay with the green background with our second clip. So just highlight both of them, right click, and pre-compose. Now we have to get rid of the green background. So once again, we are going to add key light to our pre-composed clip. Click on the little eyedrop icon and click wherever there's green. And now the green is gone.
And now just pre-compose the two clips together.
And that's all there is to it. Now we're going to do the side paper tear. The same exact beginning steps apply. You want to drag it on top of both of your clips, increase the scale, and crop it to fit the length of your second clip. Again, my clip is too short for the entire overlay to finish, so we're going to do some time remapping. Again, we're going to right click on the overlay, go to time, and enable time remapping. At the very beginning, I'm going to add my first keyframe when it's right here. I'm going to drag it towards the end, add another keyframe, and I'm going to increase my time until the entire screen is pink, which is indicative that the paper has fully teared. I'm going to add key light into my overlay. And first we're going to mask out the inside, which is the pink part. Click on your dropper tool and click wherever there's pink. Now we're gonna pre-compose the overlay and our second clip. Add key light again. Click on your dropper tool and click wherever there's green.
And lastly, just pre-compose the two clips together.
And there you go. There are a ton of other paper tear transitions, but you really just need to follow these same steps to execute the other ones. So our next transition is super pretty, and I've been so obsessed with it lately. And this is the butterfly overlay, where the butterfly flies across the screen and the clip changes. So for this, you want two clips side by side, not stacked on top of each other. And you want to import one of the green screen butterfly videos that I have provided in the description. For this example, I'm going to use the orange butterfly, but you can of course use the blue butterfly if you want to. So I'm just gonna drag that right on top of my two clips. Of course, I'm gonna hit S on my keyboard and increase the scale. I'm gonna make sure motion blur is on, and I'm going to apply it to this overlay. Then add key light to the overlay. And of course, we have to get rid of the green screen background, so click on the drop icon and click on wherever there's green. Now right here where your new clip appears, you want the butterfly to have its wings at its most extended so it covers the screen. So just drag your video throughout your timeline to where you see something like that. So right here is perfect. I'm gonna trim off the excess. So you want the butterfly to start flying into the screen towards the end of your first clip. So I'm gonna have it start flying in right about here. Go down to transform and add a keyframe for your position and scale. Keep the scale the same, but for position, you wanna drag it off the screen. Then drag your current time indicator to where your second clip finally comes into view, add 2 more keyframes, and you want to drag the butterfly to the middle of the screen and then increase your scale so that it takes up most of the screen. It should look something like this, so you may have the position kind of coming in at a slope. Now you want to drag your current time indicator towards the middle-ish of the second clip. Now you want to decrease the scale again, and then drag the butterfly off the screen. My path usually curves a little bit, but that's just what I like. Now you want to highlight all of your keyframes, right click, and easy ease.
And now we're going to adjust the graphs for position. You can do this for scale if you want, but it's not really necessary. So just click on a position keyframe and go to your graph editor. For simplicity purposes, I'm just going to use speed graph so I don't have to separate my dimensions, and just follow my graph. So you shouldn't really be pushing it all the way to the right. It should look more like a right triangle.
And that's it.
And our last overlay is this open circle burst. So this overlay does not require any additional green screen video, and all you need are 2 clips with one on top of the other. So if you have Twixtor on your clips, you just want to pre-compose the one that's on the top because this is the one that's going to be masked. So just right click and pre-compose. Now you want to enable motion blur and then enable it on your top clip. Now head on over to your rectangle masking tool. We are going to mask a square in the middle of our video. Just press down and then drag your mask in the shape of a square. Then let go. Caret down on mask 1, click on shape, and change it from rectangle to ellipse. And now it's in the shape of a circle. So at the very beginning of your clip, keyframe your mask expansion and make it some negative value so the circle is really small. So something like that. Now drag your current time indicator towards the end of the clip, add another mask expansion keyframe, and bring it back to 0. Highlight your keyframes, right click and easy ease, and follow my graph. And now it should open like this. Again, you can add drop shadow for more definition. Last step, pre-compose your 2 clips together. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please continue commenting other video requests. And please continue fighting for the Black Lives Matter movement, because with each new person that participates, we have an even likelier chance of actually achieving change. Stay safe, guys. Bye.